Jeffrey, welcome to the show.
Thanks, library guys, for making me a part of your Friday.
No problem. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Did we leave anything out of the intro?
No, that intro was stellar.
Okay. Can you go ahead and tell our listeners a little bit about your last book, Dark Friday?
Sure. Dark Friday is about an investigative reporter who he travels to a small Midwestern town to kind of look into a series of murders and uncovers a local conspiracy. Basically, this group of teen friends in this small town has kind of conspired to carry out a series of murders that emulate horror movies. And one of them ends up getting pretty quickly arrested and charged for the crimes. But then the kind of mystery unfolds and the question becomes, is he really guilty of murder? Do they have the right guy? And if they don't, what does that mean for the town? And so our investigative reporter starts, of course, asking questions, which is what they do, gets himself in some trouble. It's kind of a fun, mayhem-oriented suspense thriller.
Did you live around in Indiana when you wrote that story?
Actually, I grew up in Nebraska, and I've bounced around the Midwest quite a bit. Iowa, Missouri now, Colorado, Nebraska, but basically just kind of chose the town and then had never lived there, but went out there and did some research and asked around and kind of got the feel of the place.
So what type of research do you do for your novels?
Well, there's a couple different ways I've done it, but basically with this one, Dark Friday, it's set in a real town in Indiana called Jasonville, Indiana, which is a real place. It's about an hour hour and 15 minutes or so from Indianapolis, kind of in the southwest corner of the state. And I went out there and took my camcorder and my digital recorder and talked to people and kind of captured some of the landmarks and the geography, and just actually became more intrigued. Thought it was a good place for a mystery novel. And then I've done some writing where the locales are just places that I've made up, but try and capture enough realism so people kind of feel like they've been there, whether it's real or not.
Can you tell our listeners a little bit about your nonfiction work?
Well, actually, yeah, there's a couple nonfiction books that I co-authored in my late 20s. I'm 36 years old right now, and both of those books are out of print now, and they were co-authored with a gentleman who has a PhD, and it was just something that kind of was a good experience for me and kind of got me going with published writing, and then somewhere along the way I discovered that I probably enjoyed fiction more and maybe I'm a little bit better at it.
So how did you get your start writing?
Well, I started writing seriously in my early 20s, and I'd been involved in journalism in high school, and then, of course, you mentioned in your intro my English major in college. Just kind of always had that English writing focus to me, and then graduated to books, nonfiction, and then now fiction.
How did we were discussing this in the first part of the show?
Sure.
How did you get a job in a press office for the governor?
Honestly, I wish I knew the answer to that question. Basically, there was someone who knew of me via my wife, and this was a guy who had worked there. And for a while, I had this insane idea that maybe the political world was something for me, and so I was in the press office, which is kind of where a lot of the action happens, and just spent enough time in the state capitol building in Denver, Colorado, to realize that maybe career-wise there were other things for me. God bless people who can do that. It's can be stressful. You have to wear a suit and tie every day, and it is what it is.
Did you find it kind of interesting to have a whole up close and personal view of the politicking that goes on at the state level?
Yes, some very eye-opening things. There's some interesting characters in the political world, and so actually I have a scene in Dark Friday that I kind of drew on my temporary political career for that scene, where you have some politician-type guys talking about things they can do, and you know, it's a whole world that I don't really think it's my world, but it was fun to experience it briefly.
How did the working in Nebraska for a sports column help you in your writing career?
Well, I think actually when you write any kind of sports commentary, you know, I did it just for fun, number one, because I enjoy college football. But you know, you start to learn about the kinds of things that get people's attention as far as writing in the written word. And I've always been a fan of English and of trying to communicate something in writing pretty quickly and kind of attention-grabbing, you know, type headlines, type of statements, things that get people thinking. So, you know, I kind of, as a mystery author, it's good to kind of have a different kind of experience, like in terms of the kinds of different writing you've done, so you can draw on that. I think it helps keep you fresh. So
do you hail from one of those Nebraska fan bases that have been around for generations?
Yeah, I would say that. That's fair. You know, I'm not the biggest fan you'll ever find. I just happen to be someone who, you know, combined the fandom with the writing skills.
What are some of the authors that have influenced your writing?
Yeah, I really enjoy older James Patterson stuff, some of his older novels. A gentleman named Harlan Coben, I think he's kind of rubbed off me a little bit here and there. There's a gentleman named James Byron Huggins who used to write. He has some novels for the Christian market and also for the quote-unquote mainstream market. And he's really someone who, when I was first starting out, I was reading his stuff and I'm like, wow, I wish I could do that. And, you know, it's fun to start to do things like that of your own.
So has any of your novels caught the attention of filmmakers?
Well, not that I know of, but anything's possible. It's a very kind of fast-paced, I would say, kind of cinematic style storytelling. And I have some excerpts on my website, jeffreyleever.com. But actually, there's been a couple of amateur filmmakers, if you can call them that, that have created book trailers for me, fan-created book trailers that are kind of fun. And they're just short clips. They're not a full-scale movie or anything, but those are kind of cool.
I saw those on your website also.
Yeah, you release a book and you put it out into the world, and you never know what people are going to do, in their spare time. And I sent email to the person who posted that and thanked them because I thought it was kind of neat. But yeah, it's fun, and who knows what'll happen. I would love to see it on the big screen someday if someone wanted to begin that dialogue.